Good evening. I'm Ryan in Atlanta, joined by, as always, my number one, Lee in South Coastal Florida. What's new, Lee?
Just hanging out, man. There's a lot to talk about today. Honestly, we could.
Before you get into that, a friend of mine just approached me. He's got a kind of a ground level, I guess, a business that he just got on the cheap. He's got a little vessel. He's got access to an operation that controls a vessel. He's needing some sweat equity buy-in. So he just hit me up. I'll know a little bit more about it here in the next couple of days. This is something that just happened in the last 48 hours of my life. Here we are, Friday evening, TGIF. What's big in the world right now? What kind of news cycle behemoth was dropped on us this week?
There's been a lot since the past couple of days since we spoke, and most of it is regarding a submersible lost at sea over the weekend. And ultimately, it turned out that the vessel had imploded, which is the opposite of an explosion. You know, like an explosion moves outward. It's the same force, but moving inward. And the participants of the adventure, the crew members, all five of them, were liquidated immediately. They literally turned into a bag of soup.
Welcome to the Garbage Juice Pod.
We begin tonight with the search for answers following that tragic outcome for the submersible that went missing in the Atlantic. Officials say a catastrophic implosion destroyed the vessel and killed all 5 people on board. Well, family members and others are now questioning how and why the expedition was allowed to go ahead with its design and lax safety measures. The U.S. Coast Guard has reportedly declared the incident to be a, quote, major marine casualty and will lead the investigation into the cause of the implosion. An international team of ships with advanced underwater equipment remain on site to scour the ocean floor for more debris and evidence of the doomed vessel.
I was, frankly, relieved for them that they were obliterated in what is less than a millisecond, because I can't imagine a worst case scenario than being in a cold tin can stuck at the bottom of the ocean, covered in shit and piss. But anyway, that's past the point. So this gentleman looking for you to join their venture. I mean, you would be a perfect person for this. Do you remember who it was?
Now that I'm thinking about it, this might not be a good. This might. You know what? I might be getting fooled into something. He might have been fucking with me. Again, we said today, here we are, Friday, June 23rd. This thing has been a big part of any timeline that you're on, folks. Any of our listeners out there, if you've been scrolling online, you've seen this thing take off, and you've seen countering appeals. You've seen those living it up in the mockery of several very wealthy men in a tiny, oversized can of soda. You've seen people dunking on the fact that they used a gaming controller to pilot this deep sea vessel. And then you see people take the opinion that it is not a time nor place online to be casting criticism on those that lost their lives. The news itself has been dropped as an ongoing investigation, and I think that's what makes this thing a little unique as far as a meme moment in time in the sizzling summer of 2023 that we're in now. We're predicting a lot of great news cycles to come, but this one is special, and it's special because it allowed people to kind of do a Schrodinger's cat, right? What's in the tube? These billionaires, they love their tubes. They're trying to get tubes to happen to subterranean, deep in the ocean, deep into outer space.
They want to just live in tubes.
They need,
no matter in some extreme environment.
They need tube time. And
well, it's to get away from all the peasants. There's no way to get away from the peasants. Like, you may be on your super yacht, but you still have people, like regular people, who have to work that yacht, right? You can't hire, for example, if you have a $500 million super yacht, you can't hire a bunch of billionaires to run the yacht for you. It's just not going to happen. You have to have regular folks that you can pay regular salaries to run that. So you can't even get out that way. You fly a private plane. The pilot's a normal guy. You got to be around some peasants. You just can't get away from it, right? Your driver is going to be some peasant. So the only way to escape such a thing is to take some tube-like vessel somewhere that the peasants can't go.
Like a walled compound that's mobile. People, they need to protect themselves from, well, what we see is themselves. To decide to do this is something that most people might not ever be in the position to do. That most people might not ever be in this position. But if you have the money, of course you're going to want to try to one up your neighbors, and you're going to want to bring home some actual footage of you taking a picture of the screen of the monitor in front of you and be like, there's only a few of us that have seen this monitor.
The 24-inch Vizio Walmart monitor that the guy bought, on a Black Friday sale.
He was a grind mindset juice boy type. And what we know about...
He would have been a listener, for sure.
I mean, the carbon fiber and titanium, there's a rule you don't do that. Well, I did. It's picking the rules that you break that are the ones that will add value to others and add value to society.
To attack this nut with the mind placement of a listener or someone with the mindset of what the energy is that we like to bring to this show, we could say this person was out there to do. He was a doer. He had his Nikes laced up. He was just doing. And did he need to look the other way on some obvious important things? If there's some area that I'm in the dark on, I might not be the best to speak on this. Deep water submersible craft.
The physics and materials required around making them.
There are growing questions tonight that safety concerns were ignored by OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, who was piloting the Titan and is among those killed. Deep sea expert Rob McCallum says Rush also dismissed his safety concerns.
He took it as a personal threat. No one should ever take safety as a personal threat.
I stayed glued to my device, scrolling and looking and trying to piece together what was happening. So I guess it would have been Thursday-ish that it was concluded, where what was said Monday, leaked Monday, about special sonar that the Navy did not want to release the information, that they had the technology to listen, because it's the kind of technology that they use for spy craft. They say for I guess if the Germans wanted to get in their U-boats again. I'm not sure.
Dude, the Chinese, man. You got to watch out for the Chinese.
And we're learning more about the Navy picking up the sound of an implosion on Sunday after the Titan lost contact. A Navy official tells CBS News that detection was not definitive, so the search continued until the submersible's debris was found.
I'm not sure if underwater attack is the move on the current stage, but the Navy has the technology, and they didn't want to talk about it, so they said, "Yeah, we heard that fucking thing pop." Yeah, we heard it pop. We heard that thing go. As soon as they lost contact, the same time the thing went. But then you're in a position to say, "Oh shit! Well, we can't say how we know this, so we can't just like make something up. So let's just let it go out a couple of days." Maybe they did notify some families, like, "Yeah, hey, coming." They are the watery bits of a tomato at the bottom of a blender when you're making homemade salsa. And this is a fascinating thing. I think we could, if it wasn't summer, I think the school children could be using this as a moment. I just watched an experiment where you take a soda can and you heat it over a Bunsen burner, but then you immediately like turn it over and then put it to another gas or another flame, and then it does the implosion thing, which is, if you ever think what's the opposite of an explosion or what's the inverse of an explosion, an implosion, we don't get to see that.
No.
That's something that we don't get to see. We don't get to see implosions. There hasn't been enough implosions. It's really past 5 years. We haven't. We've been suffocated from implosion exposure. Can we think of any implosion scenarios? This is like, I mean, organic matter is the only thing that could like constrict in this type of movement.
I think that's what makes it so interesting, because everyone's like, well, what happens when you get like when you're 3,500 meters under the sea, right? And your little carbon fiber dinghy decides it's had enough. It's had enough.
Yeah. Just can't go on.
What does that, because like I was saying, explosion, sure, but implosion? It's insane. Even more hardcore. It's far more metal than explode. It is like,
you know where we would see this? An episode of Metalocalypse.
Yeah. It's you would implode some of the audience, you know?
It's very metal.
That right? Kind of just blowing them up is like, anyone can do that, but you implode them.
I mean, we feel effects of pressure in a tube when we're up in an airplane. And so you can imagine what's happening. These guys are descending to the depths to view some old ass boat. First of all, what's the Titanic doing down there? guy entering conversation that doesn't know what the Titanic was. First of all, what's a ship doing down there deep in that depth of the ocean? So you're in the tube with your fellow freakish weirdo piggies in this thing with this guy that's just trying to make, I don't know, $10 million and in 1 year. He probably told himself, I need to make $10 million in 1 year. He probably read Rich Dad, Poor Dad in the library of book suggestions of the Garbage Juice podcast. He probably said, you know what, let me pick up some self-actualization. And then, so he's out there creating a deep water submersible. And then he goes to his son's room and he says, I could use this remote control. Last year, 2022, a BBC documentary came out where they talked about how the remote was coded wrong, or to steer it, they had to turn the remote. So using the joystick and the up down arrows would make more sense. You just had to rotate the controller itself 90 or 180 degrees to make it make sense, or maybe kind of keep it at a diagonal, because the thing itself was just last year.
The controller was not even the biggest problem. It was the actual tube itself. You're supposed to make these things out of like steel, titanium, right? He made it out of some carbon fiber like shell.
The Coast Guard says the 22-foot Titan broke into fields of debris, including its nose cone and both ends of the pressure hull, made of carbon fiber and titanium. The hull likely imploded under what Marquet says is water pressure amounting to the weight of the Empire State Building.
Did carbon fiber present a risk?
We don't have a lot of experience. What happens when it gets frozen and compressed and then warmed and relaxed?
Titanic director James Cameron is an expert on deepwater exploration. He also felt the use of carbon fiber posed a risk.
I was very suspect of the technology that they were using. I wouldn't have gotten in that sub.
He everywhere he had an opportunity to, he would save money. He's like, oh, all right, controls too fucking expensive. Let's buy this $30 Logitech controller off Amazon. Fucking tight, really nice professional monitors where we can see where we're going and all this stuff. Nah, man, Vizio screens from Walmart, tight. All right, so you need like a titanium hull. It's going to cost you like $20 million. Nah, fuck that. Let's get a bunch of carbon and weave it together. And like, that's strong. Like that shit stops bullets, right? Let's fucking put that together. And that titanium stuff you're talking about, we'll just put on the ends, like the ends of the can. So how much of that do I need? Just a little bit. We'll just put a couple of end plugs of titanium on that. And everyone was telling him like, look, it might work once, might even work twice, but it ain't going to work 100 times. And that seemed to be the biggest problem, is that the guy was just this total grindhead entrepreneur type. Like, look, I just want to hire the youngest, most exciting people. And I don't want like 50-year-old guys in here, white guys, I think it was, telling me what to do. Right. Why would I want that? Like people who have had 30 years of engineering, why would I want those fucking people around me who are just going to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about? I want kids out of college. I want dudes that have been living on boats for the past couple of years, right? Steering the ship, doing some diving activity for me. Maybe I get some guys out of Australia or, somewhere not like America, maybe a little cheaper that I can go to get some people. And I put it all together. And it worked. He was charging $250,000 a ticket. He's making $1 million every single time. His overhead might be, after building the thing, maybe a tenth of that, right? You make $1 million every time you go down. Maybe. I'm just saying, cut corners wherever you can. And hey,
is it worth it?
He shouldn't have. If he would have been smart, he would have fucking let someone else drive it. He was the CEO. He could just hire someone. But no one that knew what they were doing was crazy enough to take that thing out, right? Like if he would have tried to find someone who drives submarines, right? You're like, okay, I need a submarine driver. And that guy probably knows a lot about doing things underwater, I would have to imagine. So you have a guy who comes and probably is like, yeah, the CEO guy, Rush, is saying like, yeah, I've been driving this submarine. I'm looking for someone else to drive it. And the guy's probably looking at this like, there's no fucking way in hell I'm taking this anywhere. Would you build this at Home Depot? I imagine it'd be very difficult for him to find someone else, like a professional, to actually, like a professional submariner, like people who know a lot about being underwater for long periods of time. He just probably couldn't find any who would actually work with him because they knew it was going to die, I guess.
It's very fitting that this is all going down at the site of the Titanic, notoriously led by a captain who had been told repeatedly, hey, there's fucking ice ahead.
Bitch, fuck that.
There's fucking ice ahead. And he said, nah, dog, we got this.
What do I look like, a pussy?
We got this. Where were they going?
Scare some fucking ice.
Were they going to Europe? Was the Titanic
They're
going to Europe?
They're going
a roundabout.
They're going old world to new world. They're going to Nova Scotia or some shit. Maybe New York. I don't know.
Yeah.
They
were coming from England.
Yeah, Ireland or something. I don't know. Watch the fucking movie. By the way, one of the funniest things I heard was that this is all a way to know. This is all a psyop. Did you hear that? Because the Hunter Biden story came out as well. Like Hunter Biden got, what was it? He did a plea deal. He got a few federal indictments for like having an unlicensed firearm and I don't know, some other shit. And that the same exact time that the news was coming out that he plea bargained his way out of any prison time on federal gun crimes, they bring this story out to completely suppress it. No one talked about this shit at all. So I like the idea of it being a psyop.
It is an insane story. Hunter Biden alone is enough to do a whole episode on. The fact that the man has a father who is in the fucking White House now, not just like had been,
No.
but he's currently the president with all this stuff going down, and this like oozing sex freak kind of guy. He's like a sex guy, you know. He's like, I don't want to tangle the freak term, but just a sex guy, which is just, kind of cringe at times, or an exhibitionist.
Yeah.
Repeated overtones of emo kind of calling out for attention. Full grown fail son. But he's fucking partying. He's having fun, I guess. The man is out there. He's on a bender, and he feels maybe it's his art. He is an artist. They all, I guess, have to take up a hobby somewhere. Hunter Biden cover up? Question marks, folks. Possibly the whole thing is a cover up. This submarine crew could have made a pact, and the CEO could have gotten his biggest bag yet and fulfilled some type of going completely off the grid and faking 5 people's deaths. That would be a big payout. They all get some type of witness
but
protection
these guys were
program.
really rich. It must have been political favors.
They wanted to escape the world as they currently knew it, and came up with an idea together, like a treaty amongst kids in the forest when they see something cool, and they vow to never tell anyone else again, as long as they keep it a secret, and it'll be their cool hiding thing. And these guys can now leave their families and not have to go back to their whatever at home and say but I don't know. Smarter people than me maybe could figure out how they could put money aside and then go forward with that money. But this goes, I guess, brings me into something that I've already answered before in conversation. Why would you leave America if you're wealthy? It's a great place to be if you got money. Same with everywhere. I guess you could make the argument. Why would you leave America? Why would they? They are American, right? Or some of them.
Yeah. I only think the CEO, like the owner of the company, was an American, which makes a lot of sense, because that grind set mentality,
Okay.
That's
maybe
that's quite an American mindset.
Maybe the guy's also selling the American dream. He said, I'm gonna fucking sink this thing. It's dangerous. Listen, guys, this can that I built, it's not safe. I've almost lost my life several times. Here's what we're going to do. Everyone here wants to be an American citizen, but you all have prior, maybe they're sex weirdo guys too, and they all have things on their record where they can't get citizenship because whatever allows people to get citizenship says you can't be a sex weirdo. They say, we'll give you a large sum of money, and the CEO says, instead of making $10 million a day, I can make $100 million right here or whatever. I'll just need to also leave whatever I have going on. That sounds good. And they do like a 6-way interchange. Everyone's shifting into a new life, and you fake it by it's not going to give you an implosion deep down is not going to give you any evidence. It's not crazy to think the Malaysian flight that goes disappearing and we've never found, maybe recently they've talked about finding it, but that's crazy. It's like better than a fire burning a body. It's deep water implosion.
Like with the Malaysia flight, wouldn't luggage like just float on shore eventually? When people start finding luggage places, doesn't that shit float? Maybe they did. I don't know.
Yeah, stuff floats. People would come across something. People living in the coastal areas around any type of wreckage typically could report seeing something. But it is the most remote of places, the deep down ocean. We know that the moon out there, there's nothing, little thing with fins creeping around, but there is in the trenches and the bottom of the ocean. There's little creatures, We got all types of shapes and forms, and they glow. Some of them look really gothic and vicious. There's nightmare stuff. There's stuff down there, but on the outer space, there's nothing up there. We haven't seen any forms. So it's appealing to go to the depths.
Is it? I don't know. I wouldn't touch that thing I wouldn't fuck that thing with your dick, Ryan. I wouldn't even touch it.
People say he's a pescador from the city of Salvador. People say it was long ago that he came in that song. They know what's your name, you can ask and see what's your name matters not. Says me, but I do have a song to sing and a love for a ball. Can drink and I know what a song can do.
I'm trying to go deep into the frontier of the mind. I want to get out of the deep down cavernous realms that some of us are relegated to. Some of us are cast to these lower living levels that make us, pale, and our vision starts to regress, and our future generations won't have eyeballs because they'll be stuck underground like the mole people that they are. I think it's time. It's summertime. I think it's time to get into the sunlight, and I'm really happy that we could fit some time in today. Thank you for being so flexible, getting this chat in.
It's my pleasure, Ryan. Whenever.
How's domestic life on your week, your Friday going?
It's really good. We're going to go on a family vacation for the first time, and I can't lie, I'm really looking forward to it. I don't want to talk to anyone at work. I don't want to deal with anything. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm away. And you know what? I'm going to say I deserve it. Frankly.
You do deserve it. Catching any good coastal spots, any exciting ocean activity ahead for you?
Some deep diving. We're going to the Bahamas. We're going to do some deep dives into the reefs.
Oh boy, you gotta experiment with the little ones and tell them this is what happens when you go. This is the pressure that they were feeling. Imagine that pressure, but times a number that we can't comprehend.
That's good. I'm gonna write that down.
Let them know, hey, this is real life. This, that submarine that I wouldn't shut up about that was on the news. Remember that submarine that Ryan kept bringing up on the show? Because your kids listen to the show, right?
My oldest kid is 5 years old, Ryan.
But they have like several laptops and tablets each, right? By that age.
Yes, and it's very, very sad. Really, really sad. I don't think no, I don't give my kids any of that stuff. I give them like phones that are dead, right? Like here's your phone. It's like dead. It doesn't work, doesn't charge, doesn't do anything. It's just a brick. No, really. I gave it to my daughter. There's your phone. Hello. Yeah.
Perfect. That's a great way to get them accustomed to having it on their person, like an everyday carry. When they're going into their elementary school class and it's recess, and they're all like, okay, what's in your pockets? Who's an everyday carry guy? And they say, here's my switchblade. These are my jacks. This is my Bazooka Joe bubblegum. Here's my brick of a phone that my father gave me because he thinks I'm an idiot. I'm going to plant it on him. I'm going to plant it at the scene of a murder so he gets charged for it. Teach his ass a lesson for fucking with me. I want that iPhone 15.
Yeah, it's not going to last very long until she's smart enough to coordinate that in her mind. So I'm gonna have to find a solution here, Ryan. I don't know what it's going to be, because as Uncle Ted put it, the technological revolution, its consequences, something human race bad. Uncle Ted was right, but for those young viewers, that's a gentleman who just died in prison, Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. Have I talked about him before?
Uncle Ted Kaczynski, also alleged CIA op, alleged one of those guys that was just given
Talk to me about
LSD,
it. Mm.
just giving it to him, pumped him full of the 60s drugs. Folks listening, if you know nothing about Ted Kaczynski, know that it's one of the many things that allegedly happened before the internet. The internet gives us an archive where we can tell when these things happen, but if they didn't happen during those moments, it's not as lively of a picture painted for us to research it. But there's plenty of stuff out there. I never really put too much time into it. It was kind of already a case closed shut whenever I was cognitive enough to recognize it or to have seen it enough on the news ambiently in my life. As I was never allowed access to the remote control until I was 26 years old. No house that I ever lived in ever allowed me to have access, and that's part of the trauma that defined me.
I was there for a couple of years. You had remote control access on occasion. We had two TVs at one point. Do you remember?
Hell yeah. Love TV. We love it, folks. We were maximalists in our aesthetic and our lifestyles, and sometimes it provided two TVs. Sometimes we needed, also, before streaming technology was as good as it was, so if you wanted to watch two games at once, it would have been pretty crappy on a desktop or a laptop at that time.
Yeah, we didn't really watch sports on our laptops.
Right after that was when that started. Guys, you're listening at home and maybe you're a little younger, you think about great weekend football viewing parties, and you maybe can imagine multiple TVs, but also everyone's got their laptop out or their devices and they can stream it. Not too long ago, you couldn't do that. So you would get this 3 of your TVs, and one of them was like the heaviest thing known to man.
Didn't we have a projection TV?
And 2 of them had, they were also very heavy. TVs are so much lighter, easier to move, so much cheaper.
What was it? Something like this? I'm just pulling up an image to show you. Was it something like this?
Yeah. The giant base.
The rear projection TV.
The rear projection, yeah. And it gives you that nice, like, you need to be in front of it to see the image, less than 90 degrees, where you need to be centered on the screen. Anyone sitting to the side, they ain't going to be able to really see what's going on. There's going to be too much.
Not at all.
It's too much lost.
Not at all.
In that angle.
Yeah, how to describe that? I mean, it's very unique. But we would have that one and then one next to it that, playing 2 different games. So, you could kind of move around the room, get the best viewing angle. We were living large.
Yeah.
Living large.
Reminiscing about the good old days of college, like the same way Joe Biden reflects back on his days as a lifeguard here, as we too are old men with a dying brain, incapable of churning out anything not too exciting on this. This submersible story is sealed shut. Fuck, I can't even make an implosion joke. Folks, we crushed it. There's the episode right there. There's the episode title.
We crushed it. All right, folks, we're going to take about a 30-second break. We're going to come right back, finish up the episode here. Papa needs a beverage. So 30 seconds, we'll come right back.
We love you.
Both Canada and the U.S. have now launched investigations into the implosion of the Titan. The tragic end of the submersible and its passengers is also raising questions about whether the company operating it took shortcuts on safety.
The search for the submersible survivors is now a search for answers, as investigators analyze debris found on the ocean floor to find out what went wrong.
Well, you can X-ray pieces to check for tiny cracks that might develop in the metal. It's going to be hard to distinguish, well, was this because it blew apart?
Folks, we're going to give you the A-OK to make your jokes about the Ocean Gate thing because it's bizarre and we're not monitoring what you're saying. Have fun. Go nuts.
Well, I'm glad we're back. To wrap up the episode here, Ryan, I want to ask you your thoughts on Musk Zuckerberg. One, the fight of fights. Dana White says that the PPV would bring in over $1 billion in revenue.
Oh, this is going to be must see.
Dana White, this would be the biggest fight ever in the history of the world, bigger than anything that's ever been done. Quote unquote Dana White.
Yeah, I thought it was a prank the first time I read the headline, and then I kept seeing it happen more and more. So it gives validity that this is something that we might see happen. I still kind of don't believe it will, but I guess after probably about 5 minutes of thinking about it, I'm thinking Zuckerberg. We see.
He's younger. Musk is kind of old now.
Yeah, we see. I don't want to fight that guy. Like Elon Musk is like doing the same thing I'm doing, having a bunch of bot accounts on Twitter and trying to get likes and faves. He's hanging out. He's online. Zuckerberg, he's a weirdo. You could tell. He probably does CrossFit. He probably goes into. He probably eats like. Real. He probably is on like the craziest diet where he's getting like 3 granules of white rice and a combination of gelatinous mega nutrient forms and foams.
He's a total fucking weirdo. You gotta know it.
Yeah.
He's autistic. He's got like Asperger's or autism or something, Yeah, and he's not normal.
So does Musk, but that just seems more like someone I'd feel capable of taking. So I think Zuckerberg takes it. But what's their motivation? Is it for charity? But you tie in, hey, this is going to be the most watch event ever. This is going to be the thing that everyone's going to tune into. And it's the time for you to be the most popular talked about thing, as maybe one of them wants more than the other. But that would be the type of thing that only so few of us could touch.
To me, it's insane. To me, when have we seen billionaires go to this level of the social ladder?
Yeah.
Aren't they supposed to be like, I don't know, doing things in secret societies in back rooms somewhere, planning the overthrow or manipulation of the government?
We can only hope that they're doing something cool with it.
Aren't these guys that are at the top of the money chain? Aren't they like supposed to be planning ways to create a new world order with that German guy who wears like samurai robes? What's his name? Klaus Strauss.
We'll insert Alex Jones. Klaus Strauss.
Fuck you, Klaus Schwab. Fuck you.
Oh, we need that as a sound clip now.
The globalists, folks. They want to come after your babies. Alex Jones joining the show's third mic today. Alex, how's it going? Well, I'd be doing a lot better if my wife didn't just leave me and I have to pay $45 million to a group of New Englanders who's funded by the Clintons. But I just got down to the barbecue place with Rogan and we just had a couple of beautiful brisket tacos. To be able to do the voice, first and foremost, you got to speak as close into your microphone as possible.
I feel like he has the microphone installed in his further into his nasal cavity.
All the best do. And with that, we wish you adieu, folks. Great catching up with everyone. We wish you a happy, beautiful weekend.
It's been a blast.
Goodbye, folks.
See ya.
Thank you.